As President Biden apparently holding back his 2024 campaign launch despite reports that he's definitely running for a second term. Axios writing, quote, advisors and close allies don't expect him to announce a run for re-election anytime soon. And some now believe it could come as late as July or perhaps even the fall.
I think it does need to come before November of 2024, but I'm not sure. This all comes as a recent poll shows only 1/3 of Americans think Joe Biden deserves to be reelected.
Lee Carter is the president of Ms. Lansky and Partners and the author of Persuasion. She joins us now. Lee, 1/3 of Americans, what Todd just said, do not think that he should be reelected. I mean, is that possibly a reason why they're holding back on announcing?
I think the news is not good in this poll for Joe Biden. In fact, the news for Joe Biden in polls for a while has been one that he pretty much sits under 50% in approval rating for almost every category. So he's underwater. But I think his strategy for him is a smart one. He did a very similar thing when he ran in 2020, which is he very much stayed under the radar. We didn't hear a whole lot from him until right about when the primaries were starting. So I expect him to do something similar. The more he campaigns, actually, the less he does. I think he needs to put his head down, do his job, not communicate as much, and let the Republicans, frankly, go at it for each other. And then he should really be making an issue for himself. I think his best chance at winning is to make some kind of progress on abortion or make more of that of an issue than he has up until now. You know, more than 1/3 of voters who voted in the midterm said that that was the primary reason that they were voting. And so if he could pick up some more folks who would have otherwise gone against him, I think that's going to be good for him. But the polls are really, really damning for him when I look at some of this. I mean, he has lost quite a bit of momentum even since July of last year. And so he's going to have to get some wins up on the board if he's going to have a chance in 24.
Well, the way he's going to try and get those voters in 2024, reportedly, is to use influencers in his reelection campaign, saying, quote, we're trying to reach young people, but also moms who use different platforms to get information, and climate activists. Interesting how there's like 3 categories of people in this world, and people whose main way of getting information is digital. Don't Republicans need to follow suit on this, Lee? Because I always get the sense that, like, Republicans think that their way of doing it is better because it's the way it always has been done. But I'd argue that over the course of the last couple elections, it's not working. So don't Republicans need to follow suit on this?
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, conservatives tend to be not only conservative in politics, they tend to be conservative in temperament, which means conservatives can be somewhat reluctant to change. The world is changing. We need to be more digitally forward. We need to get in front of the folks. But the other thing is a lot of the issues that are most important to young people don't necessarily score well with Republicans. And so Republicans are going to have a message and a platform that is going to appeal to young people. At the same time, the base of the Republican Party is really, really solid. When you look at enthusiasm among Republicans for voting in 2024, much more enthusiastic about voting than those on the left.
Makes sense as to why the Democrats not really in favor of a TikTok ban.
Yeah, keep Biden in the basement.
There you go.
Use TikTok, which obviously many people want to ban, but Democrats are like, that could really hurt us. Let's not ban it. Lee Carter, thank you very much.
Lee.
Thank you so much. Good to see you both.
Likewise.